Good evening. My name's Evan and welcome to Rockland Graves. It feels like Blumhouse is intentionally taunting us with the inevitable and unwavering force of time by starting off 2023 with a horror movie about a sentient toy whose sentience comes not from possession, but from AI. Welcome to the future, fuck you. There's certainly no shortage of killer doll movies to pick from, and the list now grows longer with M3GAN. Written by Akella Cooper and directed by Gerard Johnstone, the movie tells the story of a young girl in desperate need for companionship, which she finds in a new consumer robot her aunt has developed for a toy company.
It's honestly like she's part of the family now.
I won't be spoiling anything that wasn't shown in the trailer, but you can probably figure out this movie for yourself just based on the very brief and vague synopsis I just provided. I don't think there's anyone going into this movie expecting something that's extremely scary or super well crafted. I know myself, I went in with pretty low expectations, but I actually really like this one. Look, I'll always argue that when you're looking at any art form from a critical standpoint, that it's very important to take into account what the intention of the piece is. Entertainment value is not directly tied to the quality of a film, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is where M3GAN shines. I was audibly laughing out loud in the theater pretty consistently throughout this movie's duration. You know, as far as January horror movies go, this is probably better than what you might expect. Katie, played by Violet McGraw, who you may know from The Haunting of Hill House or Dr. Sleep, tragically becomes an orphan when her parents are killed by a snowplow. I'm not sure I had to specify that she tragically became an orphan. I think that comes with the territory. Also, Violet McGraw is Madeline McGraw's sister, so at least one sibling doesn't have to feel inferior to the other because they're both wonderful actors.
My dreams are just dreams!
Violet is fantastic here, and I continue to be impressed by what child actors can pull off. Katie winds up in the custody of her Aunt Gemma, played by Allison Williams, who designs and develops toys that you play with through an iPad? I'm 21 years old and I'm already feeling out of touch. I didn't know this was a thing. I guess it also would be pretty weird if I was, like, super informed and up to date on the state of children's toys, though, wouldn't it? Gemma has been hard at work trying to make that horrifying Twilight child a reality, and this uncanny creation is beta tested on a recently orphaned child in lieu of proper therapy or genuine human connection. I actually found this to be pretty interesting. There's some smart commentary on how very young children are often really attached to devices a lot more than they used to be.
They could be building emotional connections that are too hard to untangle.
That's another thing about this movie. It is very silly, but I actually noticed some glimpses of competent filmmaking here that I wasn't expecting to see here. As an example of a little detail that I personally really appreciated, at one point Gemma makes a commercial for M3GAN, and they use Katie as an actor, and there's a scene where M3GAN is telling Katie to put her glass on a coaster so that it doesn't get a table dirty. Cool. Later on in the film, Katie suspects that M3GAN has done something bad, and there's a shot showing Katie's glass sitting right next to a coaster. That's like genuinely good visual storytelling to show that Katie is feeling unsure of M3GAN at this point in the film. I don't have much to say about the narrative because honestly, it doesn't matter a whole lot.
Ever since I was little, I dreamed of this perfect toy.
One thing I did find distracting is that Gemma never seems to appropriately react to anything. We never get a scene to show how her sister's death impacted her, and it kind of just feels like she forgot about it. Also, when M3GAN starts doing her killer doll thing, Gemma, to her credit, does figure that out pretty quickly, but again, she doesn't seem to react to it. She's kind of just like, oh, we gotta stop that. I feel like there would have been some level of guilt, or at the very least, a little more panic than she seemed to display. I think her character probably would be my biggest complaint about this movie, but it's not because of the performance. The performance was actually really good. It's just the script doesn't give that character quite enough to work with. The real star here is, it's M3GAN. She's just super entertaining. It? No, I'm asking that because she's a robot. Anywho, this uncanny hellspawn is a lot of fun. There was a great balance of humor and violence, and both worked for me, although I do think the humor hit more effectively. Apparently, there was a lot of cut gore from this release. It was originally more graphic, but once the trailer came out, it garnered a lot of attention from young teens, so Blumhouse made a PG-13 edit of it, and that's the version that we now have.
You should probably run.
From what I could find, it does seem pretty likely that we'll get an uncut version of the movie at some point, and I'll definitely check that out when it comes. There aren't many kills in the movie, but the ones that are there aren't half bad, and I think they would greatly benefit from that cut footage. That element is not a reason to see the movie though, as the violence is very sparse and PG-13 when it does happen. You know what this is. The trailer is exactly what you're getting into. If the trailer didn't interest you, you're not gonna like the movie. I found it to be extremely fun. I won't be racing out to get a Blu-ray copy of it, but if that's where I can find the uncut version, then I definitely will, because I do want to check that out. It very easily could have been a lot worse than it is. It's a fine movie, it's pretty mediocre, but it's really fucking fun, man. I think the movie did what it set out to do, and if you think I'm being way too forgiving to its lesser qualities like narrative or character depth, please remember how bad January movies usually are. I had a really good time with it, even if I enjoyed it more as a comedy than a horror movie.
What are you? I'm Megan.
I'm really glad that this is the movie that's out right now, because I needed something short to review before I start tackling the Evil Dead movies leading up to Evil Dead Rise in April. But for now, thank you for stopping by Rockland Graves. I hope you've enjoyed your stay.